Hello, my name is John Blanc, and I will now be presenting my field leadership project. Without any holdups, here we go. My first interviewee is Kevin Blackman. He's a 28-year-old African American guy. He trades in the foreign exchange market, so he's a forex trader. He was able to, I don't know if this is considered retiring, but he retired at 28. He's still doing forex trading, but he doesn't work a 9 to 5. That's what he does, and he's basically making a nice living off of it. I was able to sit down with Blackman for a few minutes to ask him a couple questions. One question I thought was very important for me to ask was, what is the biggest mistake you've made as an early entrepreneur? And he would say his biggest mistake as an early entrepreneur is just jumping into something without having a full grasp of what he's jumping into. So without doing all of the research, all of like knowing all of his bits, all of his points, just jumping into something, being entrepreneurship would be easier than he thought it would be, but he learned and he made a lot of mistakes that cost him. So that was his answer, of a mistake he's made as an early entrepreneur. Another question that I decided to ask him was, how can you best prepare and progress in your field? And for him is by going to market, doing a lot, and I mean a lot of research. Like you have to do research, and not just in one company, and not one company, and not one economy, and not one country, but multiple countries, multiple economies, multiple companies. So that that's like a big thing that he has to do, and that's something he has to keep in the forefront of his mind, or he will fall back. So I that was that's a skill I guess he would say would be the most important for him. Interview two, Gurleen Matthews, a family friend. I really like her stories because it's really got it out the mud kind of story. She is a 40, she's a 28, no, 38-year-old Haitian woman. She owns three beauty parlors, and she was able to sit down with me for a few minutes so we could have a nice talking. And one question I decided to ask her, which I thought was very important, was what kind of culture exists in your organization and how did you establish it? She said her culture exists and has always existed by the people she associates with and decides to like hire. So her hiring process is really a one-on-one personal. It's not any other interview you've ever had. Like it's a one-on-one interview where she gets to know the person, know how they act, know how they react, the culture, the experience of the person. So she handpicks every person that works at her parlors. So she knows the culture that's going on in her parlors, and her culture is a very accepting, diverse, culture. A very accepting, diverse culture. And it's very diverse with all different type of cultures all around the world, from like Haitians, Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, and all of that. So that would be her answer to her culture and her place. It's a very open and safe environment when regarding to culture, and I really like that. And a very another important question I thought would be important to ask her is what is her leadership style? And she explained to me that her leadership style is to lead by example. Like by that, she likes to lead from the front by taking action, and she likes to demonstrate what needs to be done, and also likes to keep her team organized. So she's very nice, but she's also a no nonsense type of person. So she will show you the example of exactly what she wants and how she needs it to be done, and that's how she expects it to be done. So that is her leadership style, and that's what works for her, and I think that's fine. And last but not least, my third interviewee, Jacob Blake. He's a 45-year-old Caucasian male that lives with his wife and three kids. Um, I was also able to get the pleasure to sit down with him for a few minutes and to ask him a few questions. I asked him, would you deem your, your practice ethical? And he had a very interesting answer for that. He would say the practice itself is neither ethical or unethical because he buys, sells, and trades stock. But just like with most things or anything, you can make it an unethical or unethical thing. So like the way you can make that is unethical. You can scam people. It's something you brought up that you can scam people. You can tell something's gonna trade at a point that it's not gonna trade at, and then you market on him, and then he lost money, but you made a whole bunch of money. So like that practice itself, he explained, was not an ethical or unethical practice, but you can make it that such. So his answer to that I thought was pretty interesting because I feel like it applies to a lot of practices and businesses. So yeah, I thought that was interesting to to hear. And that would be the conclusion of um, my presentation. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope everything was